Big Halloween sale starting this Friday the 13th.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Hello everyone and welcome to the very first canon Snoke comic by Marvel. You may have remembered a couple days ago I covered some of the snippets that we got from StarWars.com, but today we have the full issue, so I'm going to give my reaction to it and break it down as much as I can. This comic is written by Tom Taylor, and the art is by Leonard Kirk. The comic takes place before The Force Awakens, where Snoke takes Kylo for training throughout the galaxy. We first open the comic with Snoke and Kylo in the Rarlek system, where we see Snoke speak to Kylo at the edge of a giant cliff.
Are you afraid?
No, says Kylo, as Snoke holds him in midair.
Yes, you are. I can feel it. And you should be scared. Kylo Ren, you are not in control. You are confused, unsure of your convictions, filled with doubt. You feel powerless.
As Snoke tells him that powerful beings can harness their rage very easily if they so wish, he tells him that he must use it to strike, for either you strike or you fall. And with that, he lets go of the Force and Kylo falls to his death, as Snoke tells him to use his fear to let it crystallize into anger, to turn that anger into power. Kylo begins to float off the ground using the Force. This is a really cool Force power that shows just how Force users can survive massive falls without a single injury. When Kylo asks Snoke if he would have caught him had he not been able to save himself, Snoke tells him that Skywalker would have, which is why he was holding him back. Snoke tells him that if you are to rule at my side, I can't have you defeated by heights, which I think is a really cool line. As they get into Snoke's ship, he tells Kylo that he's taking him somewhere else to train, to face it, that he will either fail or he will kill it. As they land on Dagobah, Kylo grabs his helmet, as Snoke slaps him so hard, even Luke probably felt it across the galaxy.
I said, leave it. You cannot hide behind a mask here. You cannot pretend to be Vader in this place.
As they walk out onto the planet, the ship still cooling off, Kylo says to Snoke, I can still feel him from his time here, Skywalker.
Yes. One of the most formidable Jedi began his training here.
Why do you speak of him that way?
What way?
With respect. Where Snoke says, Luke has earned his respect and his fear. So this is now the first time that we know that Snoke is actually fearful of Luke. I mean, we could kind of tell that he was scared of him, but now we know for sure. And then he puts this big zinger in for Ben. I mean, it just must really hit his ego.
If I had your uncle by my side instead of you, the galaxy would have been mine a long time ago.
So he's just pretty much undermining everything that Kylo is at this point, saying you're just a mere shadow of your uncle, you're nothing. As they walk to the Darkside Cave, which of course is iconic in Star Wars, that's where Luke went in when Yoda sent him in there, and he fought his deepest, darkest fear, which in the end was himself turning to the dark side. Now of course this was Yoda's home for a long time, and in one of the old Legends comics he actually went into this cave and he fought an ancient Sith Lord. And I've covered this comic in its entirety. It's definitely one of my favorites, so you should check it out if you haven't. As they near the cave, Snoke says the power and darkness of this cave is immense. You'll enter it and only face what you've been too weak to bury. So obviously Ben goes inside, he sees Luke, and this is more of like a younger Luke than we saw in The Force Awakens, I believe. Luke says, I don't want to fight you. Of course, then Ben says, I don't care, and ignites his lightsaber, and they clash in a big duel to the death. They exchange a few words, and Snoke is just feeling what's going on as he's outside the cave. Just saying, use that hatred, rise above what's holding you back. He tried to kill you in your sleep, just prodding him to the dark side further. As Kylo kills Luke, he tells Snoke through the Force that he is done, when all of a sudden, he hears his real name, Ben. Leia and Han show up, where Ben begins to feel conflicted once more. Leia tells him that he's their son, and that he's loved. Igniting his lightsaber in fury, Snoke smirks from outside of the cave, in content, as his apprentice is about to kill his parents. Striking and slashing through, Snoke tells him to kill the connection, to snuff it out, only to show that Ben was tricking Snoke the whole time. He never killed the vision of his parents, or whatever it is in that cave. He merely just cut away at the tree cave to trick Snoke. He couldn't bring himself to kill his parents. Sending a massive shockwave to explode the Darkside Cave on Dagobah that stood for thousands of years, Snoke tells him that his powers are remarkable, which I gotta admit that was a pretty cool move, but I mean, damn, that tree has been there for thousands of years. That was the one that Luke went into, the iconic dark side tree. Now it's gone forever, destroyed. As Snoke tells him,
"Your powers are impressive."
but that cave stood for thousands of years, to which Kylo replies, "The past is the past," which I'm really starting to think that this is his answer for literally everything. Snoke continues and tells him that I hope to bring other apprentices to it, to which Kylo ends the comic by saying, "You won't need other apprentices." So this was by far one of the cooler comics that they've made. This is the very first time that we see some backstory of some sorts for Snoke. I can't wait to see where they keep going with this. Now, my questions for this are, how does Snoke know about Dagobah? How does he know about Luke and Yoda? How does he know that they were there? How does he know Luke went into this dark side tree? Does he know what he really saw? Did he know Yoda? I mean, they both were very old, and if he is Palpatine, let's say he's controlling Palpatine from afar, through the Force, or maybe through that ring that he's wearing, then it would make sense because he would just have eventually learned where Yoda was this whole time after, his fake death on the Death Star. In the Return of the Jedi novel, he finally realizes that Yoda is still alive once Luke comes to him. It also leads me to wonder if Snoke knew Luke on a personal basis, and maybe they spoke much more closely about all of Luke's experiences in his life. After all, Leia and Han did know who Snoke was, and he was able to get close to Kylo, so maybe he was like a family friend or something. So this is the comic. I hope you all enjoyed it. Please leave a like on this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.
Now, fulfill